Hey everyone, if you are into meditation and or just want to learn a little bit more about the meditation or performance, like physical performance, cognitive performance, or just performance in general, you're going to love our today's guest. All our past guest has been entrepreneur, but the guest today is not only an entrepreneur, but also a coach to entrepreneur. And he's also expert in meditation, breathwork, performance, and a lot of other personal growth and performance space. So please welcome our today's guest, JJ. Hey, JJ.
Hi, Anil. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you guys.
We are so glad to have you here, JJ. And let me actually pull up something here real quick so that our listeners can learn a little bit more about you. So JJ is a performance coach, and he has been an amazing human being and offering a lot of different tools and practices for entrepreneurs like me, or not in general, whoever is into improving their personal performance and growth. So today, JJ and I, we are going to talk more about what are those different tools and methods that, as a high achiever or entrepreneur or whatever your career or job or goal look like, how we can actually tap into this power that we already have within us, and using that power, we transform our life and achieve our life goals. So with that note, I'll have JJ here to give us a little bit about who he is, what sort of things he's interested in, and anything else, JJ, you would like to add in here.
Nice. Thank you, Anil. Hi, everyone. My name is JJ Ruescas. I am a human optimization strategist. So what does that mean? If you, by the way, you search on Google for human optimization strategist or top human optimization strategist, I'm going to be right there. And I'm not saying this because I'm bragging, but because I had to create a title myself. And this one is a combination of multiple things, from biohacking, executive coaching, psychology, somatic therapy, trauma, you name it. I had to create my own title because otherwise those labels that existed, they did not fit, or people would put me in a category. And a little bit about me, I used to be a tech leader. So I used to get teams in the software world that they were performing at a mediocre level. I used to get them to high performance level. And it's not that I did that to them. No. It was a co-creation. And that co-creation and that raise in the high performance came thanks to investing in the individuals. Think about it. It was not adding more tools. It was not adding more budget. It was investing in the individuals. If each one of us in a team starts performing at its best, then the collective starts boom raising, right? And over the years, I was doing this for tech. And my mind thinks in systems thinking. I'm always thinking like, oh, if I do a change here, what would happen here and here and here? If I experiment with a change here, what would happen here and here and here? And in technology, that is very easy to pinpoint. And then that's when I started thinking, what if I would apply the same agile principles, the same backlog, project management, but for this system, this human system, right? And things are starting to work. Obviously, now we are paired up also with technology, and we can talk about that in a second, gadgets and all of the biohacking stuff that we have. And that turned into something beautiful. That turned into, we were talking about this with Anil this morning. I turned into my own guinea pig, right? Learning and getting into different modalities to learn what worked, what didn't work for me. And over the years, I realized that the knowledge that I was acquiring, the experience that I was acquiring, was very helpful for other people. And that's when I developed, like Anil showed in the screen share, a model called the Human Ops Framework. So it's an infinite loop. In essence, it's very simple. This infinite loop has three main pillars: the physiology, the psychology, and the emotions. Nice. Thanks for sharing it there. So this Human Ops framework model that I developed, that you can see there, In essence, you can see there emotions, breathing, nutrition, etc. But it has three main pillars: body, mind, and emotions. So think about this, guys. If we are not upgrading intentionally, therefore we're downgrading by default. And if the mind gets downgraded, it pulls the other two. If the body gets downgraded, it pulls the other two. So then I thought, wait a second. What if we upgrade body, mind, or emotions? By upgrading any of those ones, the entire system gets upgraded. And I'm not talking about aspirational upgrading, like I want to be a better version of myself, and we do nothing. No, no, no. I'm talking about the practical, the operational, right? And now that's when technology and hundreds, if not thousands of years of human evolution and societal development and personal development has helped until this moment to get metrics that help us know when we are downgraded or even better, upgrading. So that is in essence what I do nowadays. I work with startup founders, with leaders of all sorts, helping them first of all to avoid burnout. First of all, to avoid burnout, because we receive so much stress from all corners, from all battlefields, and we don't know how to deal with that. And as leaders, we must learn how to deal that and alchemize it, right? Like the stress comes, like in martial arts, the stress comes and then you turn it into something that helps you instead of draining you. And on the flip side, so on one side is burnout, and the flip side is flow state or high performance. And both are, I would say, sides of the same coin. And once we learn how to manage them all, now we're constantly in a process of upgrade. So I know that that was a little bit of a mouthful, but I hope that that provides some background.
No, that was actually perfect, JJ. So let me ask you this: that you mentioned that you were, before you turn into as a performance coach and human optimization, you worked in a tech company as a DevOps. So what inspired you, or what triggered at that phase of your life into this journey of personal growth and performance?
What I've discovered, Anil, over the years is that two things motivate a person, any person, to move. It is first it could be the option A. Let's put it. It is the alluring promise of a better future. That's one thing. In this case, for me, it was curiosity. I started learning things every single day, at least 10 minutes, and I used to get I still get it every month, a topic, and that curiosity started getting me so many insights and feeling so good. And at the same time, the other way to change is through pain. What do I mean? Once we humans experience such a painful situation, we said, this is it, boom, and we decide to take another action, right? So in my case, I've changed thanks to both. And I've discovered that the wiser that you get, you use both at the same time. So in my case, it was also, while I was working as a DevOps engineer, it was this emotional exhaustion of trying to change corporate world. And even though people wanted to do it, the system was so stagnant that, man, that was draining my soul. I needed to do something with it because I couldn't conceive life like that. And obviously the transition from there to where I am right now, it went through so many ups and downs. Like I mentioned, there is no human optimization strategy school. There's nothing like that. I had to build my own.
Yeah, I think your body teaches you a lot of things, and my like when I started my business in 2009, for the first 5-6 years, I was working like crazy, so 16, 18 hours, and have not been basically focusing on any aspect of health, whether physical or mental. So I was just like on that hustling and hardworking and constantly, just growing the business. And which was important, that was one of the things that was exciting for me, and I was passionate about it. But I realized that our passion and the growth also needs rest and other ways to continue to tap into the energy so that we can do it for consistently and for the longer period of time. So I think it was somewhere around 2014, when I was riding a motorcycle in the street in India, and all of a sudden I had this acute pain in my stomach, and I fall on the side of the road on my motorcycle, and somebody called 911 of India, version of the India, and ambulance came in. They took me to the hospital. I was still unconscious at the moment. And when I woke up, it was the next day morning. I didn't know what happened between those times. So when I woke up, I felt that, wow, there's like, I put my body to so much work and never actually gave that rest, or like, took care of it, making sure that my performance is optimal. And that was a wake up call for me. That was the time where my body actually told me, like, okay, this is the time where you need
You
to.
rebelled. You
Exactly,
rebelled.
yeah. And that's when I went to Himalayas and did a 10-day silent meditation, and that actually changed a lot. And that at that time I realized I completely actually discovered a different version of myself, and I realized that how much power I have within myself, that I wasn't aware about. So that was my journey into personal growth and personal transformation and mindfulness.
And it so sounds like you took the painful path.
I did. Very.
Likewise, right? And that
Mhm.
pain doesn't need to be only physical, it could be emotional or mental. And once
Mm.
we're disconnected or we're trying to put it away, guess what? It's building up more and more and more and more. And usually the body is what
Mm.
first somatizes, or meaning it translates that emotion into a pain that is like the body's telling you, hey, listen to me,
Mhm.
listen to me. Right. And if we don't listen, boom, that's when burnout happens.
Yeah. Great. So JJ, yeah, in last 5 months, I think I've been to more than 5 different workshop and practices with you, on breathwork, meditation, a lot of different aspect of human optimizations. And after each session, I learned so much, like a whole completely different. I've been in this space for like 5 years, but each time I practice something with you, I feel like, wow, there's a whole new thing that I didn't know before. So one thing that I want to start is that a lot of people who listen to this podcast or watch this show necessarily not be into the mindfulness or meditation space for a longer, so let's kind of start there. That what do you think, like, if someone who doesn't know who has not practiced or haven't done this, the breath work or anything, yeah, like what advice would you give, like how they can get it started, or maybe just like a crash course on what is meditation, breath work, and how it ties to performance?
Okay, let me go even one step prior to that one, Annie.
Okay.
So something interesting is that we as entrepreneurs, there is no one putting us a gun in our head telling us this is the time that you have to work, and this is no. This is a blank canvas, and we have to figure it out, especially if we're against the wall, right? Against the wall, and we have to, I need to get this thing going, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, we have two types of stress at that moment. The first one is the ambiguity of the environment. We don't know how to proceed, but we know that we have to proceed. The second one are the pressures, whether societal, whether financial, whether even is the fear that comes. So think about the different angles that I was saying that stress comes from. Now, I do believe that I have an advantage as an entrepreneur, because I didn't start on the performance side as an entrepreneur. I started working on the tech world. And what had happened is that while I was working as a tech leader, I became a digital nomad, and I was traveling for 5 years with a laptop and the backpack, and still leading teams and making things happen big time. And because I was doing that, I had to learn how to perform under any circumstances. time zone changes, weather changes, food changes, you name it. I had to perform under any circumstances, and eventually I did it. It was not easy, but later I eventually cracked the code on how to accelerate learning on all of those ones. And why I'm bringing this up, it's because now that I am into helping entrepreneurs to first avoid burnout and achieve optimal performance, I see how many people consider downtime as a weakness. They think that no, I have to hustle. It's a hustle culture. And even myself, man, when I was in my early 20s, I would say I thought that sleep was for the weak. Think about that. I was so crazy. I thought like sleep is for the weak. It's like, I was crazy, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, at that time, the type of energy that I
People
have.
who are lazy, right? That's what I was
Yeah,
like. Oh,
people are lazy.
if I sleep
Exactly.
more, people think like, oh, I'm lazy,
Yeah, and the association that we give to one of the most fundamental human needs creates an adversarial situation.
Mhm.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
And so, first things first, let's talk about rest versus recovery. There is a huge difference between rest and recovery. Rest is, for example, if I have here my cell phone right now, okay, I put my cell phone here aside. Your cell phone is probably there as well on the side. And since we're not touching the cell phone, it's working, but eventually it's going to die off. The battery is going to run out of it, right? That is rest. Now, what's recovery? If I get my phone here and I plug it, that is what it's going to recharge the battery. So there is a huge difference between pause or rest, which is a pause in our daily activities, and recovery, which is recharging. And that is key. Go for it. Do you have any question?
Yeah, one question I had is like, what I'm getting in from this is the rest is usually something that maybe necessarily you're not doing anything, but it is also not doing anything to your brain and body. But on the other side, recovery is rest plus recharging, like adding more energy into your day.
It's plugging the battery again. Many people, they just rest, especially entrepreneurs, like, I'm going to take a little bit of rest, but that doesn't mean that they're recharging. And that eventually still takes you into burnout.
What are some examples of recovery and recharging? Maybe one or two examples that we can.
Now let's get into this. Meditation, mindfulness, breath work, even connection with nature, even a co-regulation with other people that uplifts you. That's a way to recharge. Man, you know that now that I'm thinking about it, for the episode notes, I'm going to send you a recovery matrix that I have. It's on my website. And then you will see techniques on the physiological, psychological, and an emotional aspect on recovery, so that people can say like, oh, I would like to try this out. And there are from the most basic ones, which is take 3 deep inhales and let it go, or just sit and meditate for 5 minutes, to Vipassana retreats, 10-day retreats, to breath work that takes you out of your body, you name it. So that matrix will give you a mild, medium, and hot ingredients. That's what I call, so that you can experiment with those ones. Now, once we understand what's the difference between rest and recovery, now we have to think about, okay, how do I put this in action? Because now recovery sounds good. Now we understand the difference. But as an entrepreneur, it's like, I don't have time for that. Right? I don't have time for that. And that is because we consider rest or recovery a luxury or something that is not essential. And we're forgetting that this is actually investing. Recovery is investing in ourselves. If we as leaders are not at the highest of our performance, therefore we are the ultimate bottleneck of the company, right? And so one of the things that I do, especially working with startup founders, is getting them to ritualize or to get recovery time as sacred as they can do in their calendars, knowing that that is an investment in themselves. Obviously, the return on investment at the beginning, the brain doesn't see the return of investment. It's like, we're spending 1 hour meditating. What's the benefit of this? But once you start doing that often, even less than 1 hour, your body starts feeling better, your mind starts getting clear, and now like, oh, now I get it. Now I get it. Same thing with breathwork practices. Even I can tell you, ice baths is a type of recovery. Crazy. How come? Ice bath. Have you ever done? We've done it.
We did, yeah, we tried. It was a
Right? No,
mild one, but yeah,
it was
after
a
that, I
mild
went to
version.
another place and tried doing the ice plunge. Yeah,
Yeah, you have
cold
to come
plunge.
with me for another one as well. How did you
Absolutely,
feel after that cold plunge, Anil?
it was brutal.
It
In the
was
moment,
brutal,
it
but
was
after,
brutal.
yeah,
But after that, you're right. Like after that, I think, yeah, I felt really great and saw that like how my body, was like capable of like experiencing something like that, and yeah, a lot of things open up.
yeah. And let me give you an example. What's happening there, and
Mm,
also during any kind of recovery practice, whether it's meditation, breath work, cold plunges, etc., or even workout, an active workout, it's also a form of recovery.
mm,
What is happening is that now our nervous system is getting retrained to start offloading the stress that we have accumulated. That's one thing. And also our neurochemistry is changing. In the case of the cold plunge, for example, you mentioned it. As soon as your body got into the cold water, it was brutal. It's like stress hormones went to the roof in your body. And through breath work, we regulated. You were there, you were chill. So you're telling your body, we are good. Therefore, the cortisol starts diminishing, adrenaline starts diminishing, and you start getting more serotonin, more oxytocin. So as soon as you leave, man, you feel brand new man. That's
mhm.
another type of recharge.
Yeah. Great. No,
So
thanks for sharing that, JJ. Rest, recovery, and how what types of different types of recovery, how actually it can help you to fight or deal with the day-to-day stress. Not just the stress, but also I feel like even our goals, because sometimes when we want to grow, it's not just the stress, but it's also when we want to grow, we need to get out of our comfort zone. And that when you are trying to get out of your comfort zone, even though it's a good kind of stress, it still actually you feel it still makes you scared, tired. And that's why both this recovery and recharge techniques and some examples that you shared can be very, very helpful.
yeah, that's a good point. And I have this principle or this motto: no stress, no growth.
Hmm.
So
I love
stress,
it.
we stress to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, uh, yeah, like in the beginning, when I was thinking about starting this podcast, Peaceful Growth, uh, there was one thing that I had this idea for a long time, but I was like, I was not didn't commit to it. And when I started questioning, like, what is stopping me to start this podcast? And first thing I was like, oh, English is not my first language. Also, I'm an introvert, so being on a video call like this and like, imagining that hundreds and thousands of people are going to watch me talking on the video, that was actually very stressful. And so I actually yeah, I kind of like try to avoid these as much as I can. But then there was a one point where this comfort zone come into the picture. And I was like, if I really want to grow in my life, I need to get out of my comfort zone, because right now my comfort zone is not to go on a videos, like no podcast. That's comfort zone. But it's like I'm not gonna grow if I'll just stay in the comfort zone. So that's what kind of like what actually inspired me to get out of my comfort zone and to grow in this area, because this was the one aspect of my like in life where I was struggling, to like going on a video and having a conversation with different people and being out and being watched by hundreds of people. So yeah, I love that. No stress, no growth. I
No
love it.
stress, no growth. And I bet that now uh, that getting out of your comfort zone turned into your new comfort zone.
Mm.
that you feel so relaxed. I remember when I started also my podcast, I was like you. This is English is not my first language, and I'm reaching out to best-selling authors and to
Uh-huh.
leaders. I'm like like that. Obviously, I have my techniques to manage my state. I
Mm-hmm.
have them, but nowadays it's like boo 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 boo. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So now, JJ, do you want to maybe show us a little bit few examples of practices that you offer, or entrepreneurs, or anyone, high achiever, high performer, entrepreneur who is on the path of learning and growing? Um, what are those different types of techniques like meditation, breath work, that we can actually practice it uh, at the comfort of our home and get some benefits of it? So there are two questions there. Like, do you want to practice and then talk about the benefits, or first we should talk about benefits and then go to the practice?
Let's talk about first, and then you're going to be the model of the
All right.
techniques.
I love it.
Let's do that. So you will see in this recovery matrix that we're going to put in the notes. Like I
Mhm.
mentioned, there is the physiological, the psychological, and the emotional aspect. And first, we need to understand as well what type, or how much stress we're dealing with.
Hmm.
Now, something that I usually recommend is to have continuous discharges of stress. Instead of allowing the stress to accumulate, and then have a big discharge, which could be also a reactive way with people that we love, and that's still a discharge that we don't want to have little discharges of stress during the day. By the way, if anyone's interested, I would highly recommend this book called Widen the Window by Dr. Elizabeth Stanley. It's talking about the window of tolerance of our nervous system. I know you have heard me talking about nervous system over the last few minutes. What it happens is that as a human optimization strategist, my main role is to get the nervous system of the person in top performance all day long. Why? Because the nervous system regulates all the physiological aspects. Even thoughts affect our nervous system and therefore our emotions. Emotions are basically the emotions that we experience are the different neurochemical changes in our body. So the point of convergence is the nervous system. If our nervous system is not working optimally, then we're heading down there, right? So now answering a little bit of your question, one of the things that over the years I have discovered is that one of the main methods to regulate and optimize the nervous system are breathing techniques. Our breathing techniques or breath work, right? And the word breath work is such a vast thing. It's not just doing inhale, exhale, no. I would even venture to say that every human has his and her own breathing technique. What do I mean about that? You know, the Wim Hof method, holotropic method, the somatic breathwork here in Austin, and so many, right? Those are techniques that help you get into a state. Nevertheless, you and I, for example, Anil, we have different lung capacities. You and I have different resistance to stress. Therefore, we can learn from those schools, but then craft our own practice so that we have the Anil method, we have the JJ method. And that is when we can actually start crafting something that I call precision recovery. Because I can tell you, for example, in my case, I can say, for me, recovery, it is sleeping this much of time, having this downtime, having cold plunges, having breath work. But that's what works for this nervous system. Your nervous system is different, right? And that is when you can say, oh, let me try this, but let me experiment. Keep iterating, like in a startup, like in a company. Let me iterate with this until I refine what really works for me. It could be a combination of meditation and breath work. It could be not even any of those ones. And it could be probably going into nature for 2-3 hours without a cell phone. That's another way to recover as well. Or you could be doing that plus having someone that you can co-regulate with nervous system, someone that you and this other person really lift each other up. That's don't let me lie with that. When you're having a beautiful conversation with someone that you love, both of you are like, that's another way to recharge the nervous system. Right. So let's talk about specifically breath work. Why breath work or breathing techniques? It is because our nervous system has two modes, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. The sympathetic is what is called stress, fight or flight. It's the response to a stress when we need to take action or to mobilization, whether it's, like I mentioned, fight something or flight. And you may have heard this story of prehistoric people and how our nervous system evolved to survive, in other words. And when we were not trying to survive, we were in the other mode, in parasympathetic. And the parasympathetic is also called the rest and digest. That means that when we are eating something, for example, our body will get the blood that goes to the extremities, usually for fight or flight. Well, the blood flow will be redirected to the digestive and reproductive organs. And also, that is what the growth factor turns on in the parasympathetic. In the sympathetic, growth, reproduction, and digestion are turned off. Right? So that's the reason it's so important to learn how to navigate and manage stress so that we can come back always into the recovery mode, into the growth mode. Stress, we have plenty of stress. And so breathing is what helps regulate this switch, this influence in our nervous system to go from one mode to the other one. Now, just to clarify, I'm not saying that sympathetic mode is the evil. No. We need to get also into sympathetic mode when we need to take charge, when we need to take action. And we also need to learn how to down-regulate into the parasympathetic so that we go into recovery again. So talking about breathwork specifically, breathing influences the nervous system. So you will notice some people that are hyperventilating, they may not even realize that they are hyperventilating, meaning breathing through the mouth or through the nose, but rapid inhales and shallow inhales, they're hyperventilating. They're getting the nervous system into fight or flight. The opposite also will help. If I inhale and exhale slowly, inhale deeply and exhale slowly, I'm influencing the other one. I'm influencing more parasympathetic. And even now, let's take it to the next level. You follow me? Are you with me?
Yes, I'm following you. But one thing I wanted to actually add into that, which is that, you're talking about breath, but a lot of people think like, well, I know how to breathe, like I'm already breathing for the whole day, right? So what is this, why this breath work is different than the normal breathing? So I had that question in the beginning, like, when I started was thinking about like doing a meditation and they talk about different pranamayas and like, different ways to breathe. I was like, I already breathe, it's like 24 hours a day. That's why I'm alive. It's like, what the heck is this new breathing? And at that time, it's like I was still comparing those two. And the way I rested on that question was that like, this normal breathing unconsciously that we are breathing throughout the day, that's our survival breath. That's like survival breath, right? But performance breath is something that's where you consciously breathe in a certain way, changing the breathing pattern. And that actually becomes a tool to either, enhance your performance, relax, or whatever sort of emotions and goals that we want to achieve. Is that accurate?
That's super accurate. And you're right. Everyone is breathing, but that doesn't mean that we are breathing optimally. Think about this. If when someone was a kid, had a traumatic incident, something that he or she considers traumatic, right? It's in the eye of the beholder. We may have done this, just hold it there. And because the emotions were so intense, our nervous system takes that as like, oh, this is survival, and boom, sometimes we get stuck there. And therefore our breathing starts changing and normalizing as suboptimal breathing, and clearly we don't even realize that. Right. Let me give you an example. One of the students that comes to the class, he showed up, and in the class, for example, I get people to hyperventilate, like deep inhales, deep exhales, like it's a workout. So he showed up and I'm always taking a look at everyone's nervous system and breathing patterns. Always, 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 always. So as soon as he arrived, I noticed that he was hyperventilating and breathing only through the upper part of the chest. And in my mind, it's like, oh, this guy's gonna have a hard time. And during the explanation of the breathing, I will tell them, take a deep inhale to the lower part of the lungs, to the sides. And I was taking a look at him. He was not doing it. He was still stuck here in the upper part of the chest. And in my mind, he's like, gee, he's going to have a hard time. That was just the warm-up. It was not even the practice. We get into the practice, and like I mentioned, he had a hard time. It was difficult for him. The point is that at the end of the practice, he feels very, very relaxed. Okay, that was going to happen either way. End of the class, and he comes to me. And I said, hi, how are you feeling? And he said, wow, that was challenging, but now I feel very good. I said, and I said, you know why it was challenging? And he said, no, it's because you upper chest breathe. I said, and he looks at me and he says, how do you know? And I didn't need to say anything. I just did with my finger, think, and I caught him in the moment when he was upper chest breathing. And he caught himself. He became aware of that. And you can notice how it's like, oh crap, like his eyes just opened up and he took a deep breath, probably in years, the first time in years, man. And he got it at that point that he was suboptimally breathing. He's been coming for months now, and you can see even the resemblance has changed. The entire experience has changed for him. So going back to your point, sometimes we get caught into suboptimal ways of doing things, and we forget what was the optimal way of doing things. And we normalize the suboptimal.
Yeah. Awesome. No, I think that's really helpful. And so now we set the stage that what is the difference between the normal breathing and the breath work, and how breath work impact or affect our nervous system for good.
Okay guys, so if you're interested to check out how Multicollab works and how Multicollab can solve your problems or improve your content publishing workflow, you can go to our website and click on the Try Demo tab in the menu section. Then simply fill out your details, and there you go. Now you have access to the demo environment where you can test all the amazing features that Multicollab has to offer.
So the next question is, I think let's also talk about the meditation and breath work. So we're talking about meditation and breath work as the same topic, or they are different, or like what's your take on meditation versus breath work?
And this is so funny that you ask this. I just came back a few days ago from a meditation retreat in Florida with Dr. Joe Dispenza. And it blew away my mind, because my concept of meditation was always Zen. No. His meditation, he was like pushing you in the meditation. So it just destroyed my concept of meditation. And we had like 35 hours of meditation. So in my case, more than calling meditation, I call it contemplation. We contemplate something. Many times in the traditional meditation, we're contemplating our breath, focusing on our breath. Nevertheless, that's not the only way that we can contemplate something. Well, walking on nature, for example, you can open up your perspective. What in Hawaiian cultures they call it hakalau, which is looking at you, but open up the wider spectrum, and you're still in meditation. You're in trance, in other words, and you're allowing your awareness to dissolve, which, guess what, relaxes the nervous system. So meditation, breath work, they are interrelated. There is definitely a complementary situation. Nevertheless, I would take it as a reason to contemplation, because you can contemplate many things. I was trying this technique a few months ago. I put it on the newsletter. It's called neurographics. Okay. Neurographics. It is it's developed by a Ukrainian, it's Ukrainian or Russian, I'm trying to remember, psychotherapist. And this is a white paper, and you get pencils, and you start drawing, and the point is never to draw a straight line, but to allow your mind to come with lines in the way that you want, because his premise is you will never find a straight line in nature. You will never find a straight line in nature. Humans are the ones who create straight lines. And by doing this exercise, men, at least in my case, and people that I've seen, the mind shuts down. You're in contemplation, and you're like offline. Another way to recharge, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, in that, if you want to add your breath on top of that, also you can sync up, because the breathing is this up and down, this ebb and flow, like the ocean.
Yeah.
So you can use your breath for anything, literally for anything. When you're meditating, when you're drunk, when you're walking, when you're cooking. And we've talked about this in the workshop that you belong to. Even for sex, if you don't understand how your body is performing when you're in connection, in intimate connection with another person, you're missing the moment. You can sync up with the breathing of the other person even.
Yeah.
And have a more in-depth experience.
Yeah.
And that's a type of contemplation as well.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful explanation on meditation and breath work. And there's one last thing that I want to bring it in here and I'm curious to get your take on that, which is one perception that people who does not practice meditation or maybe want to practice meditation is that, meditation, I should be doing meditation if I'm on a spiritual path. If my goal is to become a spiritual or attain enlightenment or like however we define the spirituality or religion. But there is one thing that I have noticed that, when I invite people to practice meditation, there is that little bit of hold on that. Like, that's more like a spirit. If I'm not right now, I'm not on a spiritual path. When I'm on a spiritual path, that's when I should be doing meditation. So what do you think about that? Like how meditation is related to or not related to if you are on a spiritual path or not?
Let me answer this way. In my case, I consider business a spiritual path. The moment that the moment that you as an entrepreneur decide to take action and to take charge, man, you're getting in for a ride. Because you're going to have lots of unknowns, and that's going to test the depth of your soul, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
For me, business is a spiritual path. Meditation is just a tool within that realm, right? So, and it's business. I would say is one of the best personal growth tools that I've found. Creating your own business, an entrepreneur, and probably also having a family. I would say those two things are going to exponentially help you grow, right? And therefore, meditation, that is also a transversal tool. Whether if you are in business, whether you're in corporate, whether you're doing nothing, this contemplation or meditation is basically like taking. It goes with anything. It's like salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Right. And many people, probably because of this division between what is the scientific and the mystic, is like, oh, no, I am hyper-rational. Well, even if you're hyper-rational, your mind needs to recharge. And even if you are on this side, you also need to have a clear mind to take action in both ways. So meditation or contemplation practices for me are key, even if it's journaling. Journaling is another type of meditation when you allow all the thoughts to offload. And it is based on the meaning that we're giving to meditation. For some people, meditation means pain. No way, really. It's because if you're, for example, and let me go a little bit deeper into the science of nervous system. If your nervous system is in a state of collapse, meaning at the verge of burnout or at burnout, man, if you try to meditate, that is suffering. Because your mind is going to start ruminating like, oh my God, I get more depressed and so on. That's a road to hell. Now, that's when you, instead of meditating, you need to move the body, be soothing, going on nature walks, walking meditation, let's call it like that. And then when you are in an optimal performance, that's when meditation becomes like, wow, and you crave for it,
Mm.
right? So that is my take, and that's my take on why I call this more contemplation than meditation, because meditation is going to be different for every single person. Nevertheless, it is definitely a great investment.
Mm.
It's a great investment. Once we understand that it's an investment, then we see that there's going to be our ROI, a return of investment of clarity, of emotional regulation, because sometimes even meditation brings back so many emotions. We just let them flow, right?
Yeah.
That's stillness. That stillness is key, because with stillness, then we can take more and more effective charge, more effective actions. So that's the game that we're playing right now with founders, with entrepreneurs at this moment.
Yeah. I love that, JJ. And especially what you mentioned about like entrepreneurship is actually spirituality, because um, for me, I think more when I started, I call myself like very rational and logical. Like, I always like need, um, the rational and logical explanation of anything that I'm doing or experiencing. So when I first stepped into the meditation, I went into that mindset. I was like, all right, I want to actually be more sharp, more focused. I want to be more, just in general, like any my life goals or business goals. I just want to make sure that my brain is an optimal performance, and stuff like that. So that's how I kind of like started my journey into yoga and meditation, and I started to see the benefits of that. But then there was a point where I started to experience some, like, look, I started to having a very more profound experience, and that was like beyond any explanation that why I'm feeling that way. And that actually started my journey to spiritual path. And I started to like following, reading more on the spirituality and in general, like, what are those different types of meditations and practices that will elevate my spiritual growth. But one big takeaway for me from that experience was that meditation doesn't matter if you have a spiritual goal or not, but meditation primarily, actually, the initial benefit of the meditation and yoga is more like physical and mental performance. And later on, and if you just want to stop there, you don't want to go in a spiritual journey or anything, like you don't want to become enlightened or whatever, right? It's all right. You have still all the benefits of meditation for your physical, like your health, your mindset, fighting with day-to-day stress, all of that. And if you feel like, okay, I want to continue on this journey beyond performance, now I want to kind of like step into this mystical world of spirituality and want to kind of like explore that, the path to spirituality is through knowing and tuning into your breath and body. I didn't know that. I mean, my initial goal was just like, all right, I want to tune in to my body and my breath and just to tap into this power. But then after that, it opened up the whole new, like, it continued to open new doors, and will continue to surprise you that how much you don't know about your brain and body.
Yeah. And the beauty of this, like you said, it is once we close our eyes and focus internally, we start discovering those emotions that were stuck, or those thoughts like, oh, I didn't think about that, right? And that's because we finally take a break from all the stimuli from the exterior and we focus on what's happening internally. And internally, we are equally wise. Why not listening to what's inside? Why not listening? Why do we need to always consume the outside stimuli and listen to the one inside? Now, one thing that I would like to add there is that nowadays we live in times when actually we can have proof of the effort that we're putting or the return of investment that we're putting into tech. And that's when we have gadgets like the Aura Ring, or look at this, I have here my Muse headband, right? So with this, we're tracking brain waves. We're tracking brain waves during meditation. Therefore, you can see biological and psychological changes that are taking place thanks to your investment in meditative practices. right? And that's when, oh, this is how it feels like when I am there. And now I have metrics, and you can have gamification with that if you want. You can play with your friends, etc. So we're
Yeah.
gamifying meditation. We're
Yeah.
gamifying meditation.
Of course. Yeah. So I think the big takeaway and the bottom line there is that you don't need to have a spiritual goal. You don't need to be follow any particular religion or have a belief system. I think the breath work and meditation is for the performance. It just enhance your physical, mental, cognitive performance, emotional performance, so that we can deal with day-to-day stress and goals.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So what do you think if we do a practice with you?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, this is first time on the show that we are doing actually a meditation or a breathwork live. So I'm excited about that. Let's do
So
it.
I'm gonna take you and the audience through two protocols. The first one is gonna be breathe light, and the second one is gonna be more super ventilation. So breathe light, what we're gonna do is actually we're gonna combine the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, two things at the same time. We can combine them. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to guide you through just using your nose. I'm going to ask you to inhale and follow my hand and exhale, right? Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. We're going to do this exercise. Eventually, I'm going to slow it down. So just keep following along. Slower inhales and exhale. And eventually, I'm going to ask you to even reduce the volume of air coming in, making it softer. That's going to create a little bit of air hunger, meaning you're going to feel like, ooh, this is not enough air. That's okay. Try to reduce it, not too much. That's the art of breathing. Once you tune in into how much is too much, how much is too little. So we're going to create a little bit of discomfort, and we will notice what happens. Are we good?
Sounds great. Do you want me to keep my mic mute?
Yeah,
Or
you can keep. No, you can keep it. You can keep it like it is open.
Okay.
Actually, let's keep it open. Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's close our eyes. We're gonna take 3 deep breaths. And please, if you're listening or watching this while driving, don't do this.
Yeah, don't do it if you're driving or sitting on the pool.
Yeah, no pools, no driving. No pools,
Yeah.
no driving. Okay. So let's close our eyes. Let's take 1 deep inhale using our nose. Let it go. Nice. Anil, open your eyes. Now you're going to see my hand. We're going to have my hand as the guide. So let's inhale, exhale. Just using nose. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, you got it. Exhale. Follow the hand. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. That's right. Let's go a little slower. Inhale slowly. Exhale slow. Inhale slowly. Exhale slow. You got it. Inhale slowly. Exhale slow. Keep up with that same rhythm. Follow the hand. Inhale slowly. Exhale. That's right. Inhale slowly. Exhale slow. And what we're going to do, keep breathing at the same time, at the same pace. What we're going to do is we're going to start reducing the amount of air. So inhale a little less. Exhale. Inhale a little less air. Exhale. You may feel a little bit of air hunger. That's very normal. Adjust. Not too much. Just feel a little bit of air hunger. Very slow, very gentle. And try to even listen to your own breath and try to go so slow, so soft that you cannot even listen to it. That's right. You may notice some buildup of saliva in your mouth. That's very common. That is a sign of the parasympathetic system activating. You may even yawn at this point. That's very common. Last two. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Keep up with that air hunger. Now gently, slowly, and exhale. One last one. Inhale. Exhale. And the last one. Inhale. And exhale. Come back to normal breathing. You may even notice your hands. Take a look at your hands or feel the warmth in your hands. Did it change?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more warmer.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's because really we were activating your nervous system. Did you notice the buildup in saliva?
I saw that. Yeah, that was that was very interesting because I never noticed that. And another thing I noticed, just like in general, like how, my breath, like just focusing on and following it, it just put me into like a whole different, like I totally forgot about that. I'm actually live right now on a podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, you were in trance. Get you in trance. So look at that. We have even biomarkers, the saliva, the finger temperature change. That is a great sign because our body has fluctuated or moved more into a parasympathetic. And even though we created a little bit of air hunger, that's a stressor. It was not too much. It's just enough. Right? Now, I know that you may feel a little bit sleepy. And like I mentioned, many people will start yawning immediately. So what if we would do the opposite? Let's stimulate a little bit more. So what people would normally do is get a cup of coffee and chug it, right? And then, boom, you have the caffeine up, but the down hurts a lot, right? So in this case, this other one that we're going to use is just inhale, and it's called Breath of Fire. And we're going to do just one round, and we're going to hold it at the top. So look at me first. I'm going to use my nose for inhale and mouth for exhale. Inhale, nose, and mouth, exhale. I'm going to do it very fast, and then inhale full and hold at the top. So this one, like I mentioned, is a stimulation or a stimulating breathing technique. It's going to look like this. And I'm going to ask you to even go faster. And at some point, inhale full, hold at the top. I'm going to ask you to hold at the top, squeeze a little bit of air with your abdomen, squeeze those muscles, and then let it go. We're good?
Sounds great. That's it.
Let's start. Okay, let's start in 3, 2, 1. In, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, a little harder, exhale, in, exhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, a little faster, Anil. In, exhale, in, exhale, in, exhale. Last 3, 1, 2, 3. Take a deep inhale. Hold at the top. Relax your shoulders. Hold at the top. Hold at the top. Relax your shoulders. Squeeze your abdomen. Squeeze your abdomen. Feel a little bit of blood going to your head. Hold it there for 3, 2, 1. Release.
Wow.
What do you feel there?
Wow. Yeah. It's awakening. Like, my head and even my ears, like earlier, they were like, it just like opened up everything.
Yeah. So think about this. State management is the name of the game, especially as entrepreneurs. We need to understand when we are off balance so that we can come back into regulation and make better decisions, take more decisive and effective actions. And we can use the first one that we did for down regulation and this other one for up regulation. right? So usually when I have,
I'm
for
also
example,
sweating a little bit, so that's also like, right, like just a less than a minute breathing.
Less than a minute. And this is something that when I'm working with a founder,
Mm,
and they have to do a presentation or something, they have already protocols that we design for each one of them, so that they do, oh, I know this is what I'm going to do before a presentation. I need to be calm, but at the same time stimulated, but in that middle ground, right? Being very aware of what's happening, but have high energy. Later, another protocol to down regulate or to intercept those moments when anxiety and stress are coming. You can intercept them, cool them down, and then boom, keep moving on with your day. So those are the kind of practices that we can use, and they are literally under our nose, literally.
So, JJ, let me ask you one question on a lot of people who just start practicing meditation in the beginning, right? After the meditation, they were like, oh, I don't, like, for that moment, they will feel like, oh, I feel more relaxed and energetic. But let's say second in the morning, they're like, oh, I feel like I'm back to normal, what I was. So one thing is, like, the expectations, like, the people have certain expectations that meditation is going to transform them into a superhuman, from the one practice to practice. So I wanted to kind of like a little bit talk about it, because you have been in this space for a long. You have been teaching and coaching about the breath work and meditation and a lot of other tools. What is the I think reasonable expectations that people should set? Like, what are those benefits or effect that they will see after practicing? If they haven't practiced it, let's start with that. Like, if they haven't, somebody who hasn't practiced any breathwork or meditation ever before, what kind of effect they will see in the first week of after practicing their first session of meditation?
The first week is going to be painful. I cannot deny that. Why do I
Okay.
mean this? It's because since we're in constant movement, once we decide to stay still, our body's like, hey, get me out of here.
Yeah.
So it's in essence, it's a withdrawal symptom. We are addicted to taking action. I'm the first one. We're addicted to taking action. And once you start taming the animal, oh man, that's when, like, oh, now I start getting the benefits of stillness. Like I mentioned, clarity of mind starts coming. The first one is the fidgeting that we may have. That starts reducing almost immediately. Now, the expectations, like you said, they are so common because we try to compare ourselves to a guru that has been training this for 4-5 decades, right? And they tell you, focus on the breath. Therefore, if you lose track of your mind, you failed. Come on, there's no way to fail in meditation. And actually, there are many flavors of meditation. One of them is focusing on the breath. Another one is focusing on the nothing. And when the mind comes, which is normal, think about this: the breath, the heart is supposed to beat. The mind is supposed to think. So trying to attain a no thinking mind, it's not going to work. Now, it's different to get attached to the idea. So that is another one. Even having the practice of, I used to play this one like 6-7 years ago. I called it, I was using this term, it is, I catch you, or I get you. Meaning, once I forgot that I got attached to an idea, and then I used to play this game like, oh, I got you there, JJ. Okay, let it go. And then again, coming back in stillness. And then another one caught my attention. Oh, I catch you again. So the game was how quickly I can catch myself drifting into an idea. Now, that's another flavor. What's another flavor? Like I was telling about Dr. Dispenza, he has something that I like very much, which is your goal in his meditations. It is not to stand up as the same person as started a meditation. No. Every meditation should get you at least 1% better. And what he does is he uses a lot of mental rehearsal, meaning his meditation is focused on getting you fully embodied into the version of the person you want to be in the future. Because the theory is that by engaging your mental imagery into a situation that does not exist yet, it's like dreaming. Therefore, your biology starts responding to that. It's also the same thing that happens with an athlete. The athlete, before running, before performing, they're rehearsing in their mind. That's another type of meditation. They're training the nervous system so when the moment comes, it knows how to proceed. So, like I mentioned, we have different flavors of meditation. The benefit or the challenge in all of them is going to be the resistance at the beginning. Nevertheless, deciding to, okay, this time or this week, I'm going to just focus on stillness. This other week, I'm going to just focus on breath. This one, I'm going to focus on rehearsal. By doing that one, the word meditation starts acquiring new flavors, and you can later realize which one you like, or even try different ones and see which one works for you. And you have plenty of other ones that are going to help. So that's more tactical. That's more tactical. It's not simply meditate and boom, but you have a way to experiment which one fits better your actual conditions or what works better for you, right?
Yeah. And one thing I would add into that is, as you mentioned that, like, there are different types of meditation, and each meditation has actually touches a different part of your body and your brain. So in the beginning, when I was practicing meditation, I always felt like, after the meditation, I will have this superhuman power, and then I will be able to basically, like remember everything and stuff like that. But I think biggest takeaway for me, and which actually took a very long time to realize that, which was that the growth and transformation was not like a big bust of something, but it was happening in a very subtle, small, atomic level, And what I meant by is that like after performing certain kind of meditation, let's say if I try to write something, my handwriting will be different than how I was writing before the meditation. Or when I go to like everyday thing, and that is where something that I think we all don't pay attention to. We feel like, overnight I'll get this superhuman power, like, but instead actually it just building up in a very small way. So even if, let's say when I make my coffee, I count scoops, like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the day when I don't do meditation, I will always forget, like, how many scoops I put in, like, but when I notice that, like, when I practice certain kind of meditation, I would remember, like, I would forget less. So writing, like, your handwritings, your daily things that you do, how you remember things in your day-to-day, the practice. Even like this morning, we did a breath workshop with my team. So you led a wonderful breath work for whole team of multi-dots, and I think there were 35 people from my company who joined in. Yeah, so that was amazing. And so what I noticed that, like, even this podcast, right? So when I practice meditation and I go on a podcast, I feel that I'm very involved. I feel like, I can easily remember what I want to ask, what I want to tell. Thoughts comes like very easily. Some of the times when I go on a meetings or a call or something, when I don't practice meditation, or like I will see that, like, I'm actually rumbling on the words. I'm actually struggling to put in my thoughts. So those are like something that I would give as a tip, that look for your day-to-day things, like things that you were already doing every day. Just see, do you feel any changes, like how things are getting better, and you're feeling more confident about it, you're feeling more involved about it. And that's where the transformation is, of the meditation.
Right, that's beautiful, and that's also a good metric, like you said, right? If you notice the difference between meditating and not meditating in your daily activities, that's a great metric. And also, this notion that meditation is basically doing the reps for awareness. It's training our awareness, and that awareness is coming back to the present, like you said, right? When you are in a meeting or in a presentation, or even doing some sort of creative work or problem solving, the more present you are, the more neural connections in your brain fire. meaning the
Yeah.
more horsepower in your brain you have when you're in the present, and you're not instead divided in the past or the future. But awareness, meditation is the gym of awareness, in other words.
I love it. Yeah. Meditation is a dream of awareness. Yeah. Great. So, JJ, we covered a lot. I also wanted to maybe ask a couple of one or two more questions
Sure.
in regards to the resources, and then we'll try to bring this to home. So, you read a lot. I'm a subscriber of your newsletter, and I've seen like you always mention different kind of books and quotes. So I wanted to kind of like ask you if you can share maybe one or two books that transform your life in a big way, or some like few book recommendations for our listeners that will be very helpful in their the journey of personal transformation and growth.
The first one that comes to my mind, since we're talking about breathwork, it is Breath by James Nestor. It's called the New Science of the Lost Art. So it's a beautiful book on stories about James Nestor's personal way to discover the power of breath, and he goes into so many different techniques. He just embarks you in this journey that you're like, wow, I want to do it. So that's the first one. Breath by James Nestor would be one of them. Another one that I think about, man, there have been so many. As a Man Thinked, I would say at this moment, by James Allen, As a Man Thinked. It's a very short book, and it was key the moment that it arrived to my life, because it made me realize that the power of my mind is so compelling, that is so vast, that if I don't know how to use it properly, then I'm damaging myself by thinking. Another one is on the same realm, a Big Leap by Guy, blanking with the name, but the Big Leap talks about our upper limit problem, meaning we all have structured systems of thinking, and we sometimes do not question those systems. They are so they're out of our awareness, literally out of our awareness. So becoming aware of our self-imposed limitations on, like, oh, this is how much I can grow, or this is how much my company can make per year, whatever. It's just a limitation. That's an upper limit problem. So how to go to the next level and continuously keep growing through those beautiful challenges. That's another one that I would recommend as well. And let me see what else I have here. I would say those are the top three that come to my mind at this moment.
Oh, love it. And I think my team will also connect with you, and they will ask you can share these books and some of the resources, and then we'll put it into the show notes after the recording. So yeah, they will have that available easily for anyone who is interested and dive a little bit deeper into that.
Great. Yeah, happy to connect with them.
Great. So JJ, how can people learn more about you, subscribe to your newsletter, or how they can basically connect with you and learn more about what are the resources that you would like to share with us?
Nice. So you can find me at JJ Ruescas, that is RUESCAS, JJRUESCAS.com. And yeah, that if you put JJ Ruescas there's only one there, so you're gonna find it in Google, very easy. So once you go to the website, you can subscribe to the newsletter. You're gonna find the podcast there. You're also going to find all the events that I'm running, whether locally or virtually. Just hop on any of those ones. You can find the workshops that I have there, blog posts, you name it. So the main way to connect with me is through the website, and obviously in social media with the same name, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and everywhere else there. So great job that my marketing team is doing at this moment.
Awesome. So I've also have your website up here. So here is the subscribe to newsletter. Subscribe to JJ's newsletter. I think you will get a tons of personal growth tips and advice, and those are really good wisdom gems. Apart from that, yeah, here is his podcast, and he also has a bunch of different events on meditation, breath work, and just in general performance and personal development. So that, yeah, I think you can also find it on his website. JJ, you also do, I know that you're based in Austin, Texas, but you also travel a lot and do sometimes events outside Texas as well, right?
Yep.
So
As well, yeah, as well. I've been in California recently, in Florida last week, and I'm going to Detroit probably next month. So we're gonna meet somewhere. And equally, like I mentioned, I have several remote events that I run. So happy to connect. And also, you can find, if anyone's interested in talking about potentially working one-on-one with me, have also the coaching section there that you will find what it's all about that I do on the realm of performance.
great. Wow, we covered a lot today, JJ. Thank you. Really grateful for you being here and coming here and sharing your knowledge and expertise. And also, thank you to our listeners for tuning us with today. Keep listening, keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you all in next episode. Peace.
Okay guys, so thank you for watching. Now if you are interested and would like to try this out for yourself, we offer a 30-day free trial of our Pro plan where you can test all the Multicollab features. So for this, all you have to do is click on the link in the description below, and this will bring you to this page, and under the Pro heading, simply click on this button here. Now simply enter a few details and that's it. You're ready to enjoy the Pro version of Multicollab for free for 30 days. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.